I believe that the horror that Mother Gaia is going through, okay, is being transmitted to all human beings. The more sensitive we are, the more painful it is. And we find various ways to numb it, to actually dull our pain. Anybody who's sensitive on this planet today is actually feeling the suffering of Mother Gaia. And that's like this subliminal thing that's going on in our lives constantly, right? We can't escape it. Our entire lives are pervaded by this sorrow. There is a certain level of grief and sorrow about the way that Mother Gaia is suffering. So that is what makes us feel like the vermin or a cancer. So a sensitive person in this society who is feeling the pain of Mother Gaia feels that, oh my God, as a human being, I'm a cancer. Most of us living in cities doing the things that we do are cut off from that, right? I don't have that level of connection to nature. I don't have acres of land to work with. I don't have the land to work with. That leaves the onus on me, finally. I have to work with it inside me to figure out how to balance myself in this fucked up space that I'm living. My direct connection to nature is severe. It's not something that I can regain. I can't suddenly go back to the forest and live there. The visceral connectedness to the suffering of Gaia is something that I've lived with all my life. We are destroying the planet in many ways. But the earlier hate towards humanity, which was towards myself in some form, right? The rage towards human behavior, these things have now softened. I don't see it that way anymore. I see humanity going through a recognition of themselves. You know, we have been separated from nature for so long, in so many various ways. Essentially, we live in a world where there is no connection to the source. I have no connection to the source of my milk, my bread, my rice, my vegetables, my fruits, whatever the fuck that comes to. Which also means that I'm cut off from the source of myself. My own connection to the land, the source is cut off. See, the moment you put yourself at the top of a pyramid, the moment you think everything was created for you, you have now a need to prove that you're the last thing. So destroying the planet is the ultimate statement of saying that all of this shit was made for me. Thing is that human beings need to belong, right? I need to belong. Belonging is a far more important thing than understanding. I don't need to be understood, but I need to belong. If I need to belong, I need to clip my wings. If I need to belong, I need to unsee. The thing is that until we find a new form of belonging, we cannot escape it. The moment I need to belong, I need to second guess myself and my true nature. And that leads me away from myself. Expressing your true self. Finally, what is exercising my true potential? Is me expressing my real self. But that real self is impossible to be contained in the world that we live in. People cannot wrap their heads around it. They cannot even comprehend what you're talking about. So you have to conform to that standard. You can't just show all your colors and walk out. By you. Finally, because finally you've done that to yourself. You have cut your own wings. You have cut those colors. You've caged yourself. You have removed those colors from your rainbow. You've been taught to unsee the rainbow. That's so fucking real, actually. Because of my change of perception, like every concept of existence that I had until that point in time when I had the accident was literally shattered. So all the things that I had learned, all the science that I had learned, all the things that they had taught me in school, all the concepts of existence that I had constructed or had been constructed for me fell away. Every civilization had to live under certain myths. Our civilization lives under certain myths, and those myths are apparent in endless progress, consumption, exploiting resources. What are resources? Trees, plants, us. Simple. This separation started unifying, you see, which is a bizarre polarization. So that polarization was suffering. It is deep suffering in the world that we live in. It's deep suffering. You are seeing the suffering that we're causing. You are seeing the paradise that we are losing. So that connection and the obvious disconnection of the real world from that connection started driving me crazy until I had my breakdown at 35. And when I had my breakdown, and subsequently when I started understanding what was going on with me, I started realizing, oh, this is what's happening. I'm not able to process polarization. This deep, innate knowing of the connection, this deep, innate experience now of reality, but that reality is so different from the reality that we've been taught to see and perceive that it's overwhelming, right? And that overwhelm brought me to that state of collapse at 35. Now there is this feeling that here is humanity waking up to its potential to be sacred from this darkness of forgetting. So we've been in this collective amnesia, essentially, having forgotten its connection to the source. So we're all actually connected to the source. in a very, very deep way. So there is this movement that has begun. At 350 years ago, this movement began. It has to move towards its logical conclusion. You can't now suddenly stop that. So it's moving. So there are these various cycles of time that are moving, right? So this one of the cycles of time that is moving is this industrial revolution and the industrial crop produce, industrial whatever the fuck. Yeah, feeding everybody so that population becomes bigger and bigger. That has to move towards its logical conclusion. How do you stop that? You see, but the positive rise of the other side is what is important. Yeah, of course. There's going to be tremendous death and destruction before we realize ourselves. It's not going to be an easy fucking process. It is going to be a painful process. For humanity to realize its true potential, sacredness and divineness and connection to this divine planet and connection to Gaia is going to be a painful process because right now we are so separated. What are you expecting? So I've realized that somehow, naturally, she has led me to the spaces that were for her creative unfolding. She had to creatively unfold. My body had to become a true vessel to be able to handle her energy. Now, incredible things are coming together. I can play the guitar. 30 years old, I couldn't play any musical instruments. Now I can play the guitar, I can play the keyboard, I can sing. Because I started playing the piano, my left hand started getting activated. Now I can draw and paint with both hands, which I couldn't earlier. There is an incredible level of alignment that is going on inside, which is bringing all these disparate things of my entire life together into a sort of unified whole. The body carries the memory of your entire lifetime, the legacy of the lifetimes of all your ancestors, and all the lifetimes that you have lived on this planet as well. It's all there in your body. Incredible memory that exists through time and is coming through you is now available to you when you can really be sensitive to your body and your being. It's taken me 49 years to reach ground zero, and now I have these gifts. Again, we come back to the curse and the gift, right? If I hadn't had my accident, I wouldn't be here today. Was it a curse or a gift? So to me, the accident was a gift, right? It was the most incredible gift that I got in my entire lifetime. This cycle of the people who come from deprivation and start overusing resources is a cycle that will continue. You see, the moment you take capitalism to a new country, the people who will get most attracted to it will be the one who's most downtrodden. Yeah, they'll be more cruel and they'll be less sensitive to the whole thing. And what do you do about that? You can't. How do you stop? That's what I'm talking about as the movement. It's the movement that has been started 350 years ago. You can't stop that, no? It has its logical end. It's not like any of us can go and really stop that. If one can be a truly creative being, and if all of humanity could touch their creative potential from deep inside themselves, then something really deep can change. I'm looking at creative potential, which has got nothing to do with creativity. I may not be an artist. My creative potential might come out when I'm cooking food or sweeping the floor, anything. I'm talking about human creative potential, like the creative potential of the sperm and the ovum level of creative potential. There is a definite shift that happened after COVID. Something happened in that time. It's the first time in so many hundred years when in some small way, saw the incredible power of Mother Gaia to rejuvenate. Everybody saw it. Everybody saw in that 1 month that their air cleared. Everybody saw things, vegetation coming up, more animals and birds around. Everybody saw that. So there was a definite shift that happened. And that is to me, I no longer look at these things as physical anymore, okay? Because there's some kind of spiritual awakening and spiritual movement that humanity is going through, which is being reflected through all these things. Like these are the symptoms, you see? So the symptoms of this disease that we are now in is a collective human movement towards a spiritual ascent. And that is an inevitable movement. We are in that. It's an inexorable movement towards that.